Yeah, so I'm excited. What we're going to do is Alex did ask for me to share my experience with the 8 steps of success and how even as a part-timer, I've utilized them from the very beginning, working for Alex, even as his admin before I even became even a recruiter. So I'm going to share a tiny bit on how I utilize those 8 steps, even on a part-time basis, that has helped me be very blessed to be successful in helping a lot of families out. All right. So really, the 8 steps didn't just grow my business. They changed how I saw what I was doing. That I wasn't just, when I first started writing policies, was just, oh, just because I wanted to see if I could sell. I realized that there was just so much more that I was called to do and help people with. And really, before I even sold a policy, a little bit about me is I sat at bedsides. Most of you guys know I was a hospice nurse for over 18 years. And I had the privilege and really the heartbreak too of walking really a lot of families through some of the hardest moments of their lives. I held hands. I listened to final conversations. I watched what happened when life changed, even in a moment, even when they weren't ready for it, even when they weren't expecting it. And one of the most powerless things I had to experience as a nurse, especially as a hospice nurse, was family members arguing over their loved one's body. Who's going to pay for what once mom dies? Who's going to get what once mom dies? Mom's still there breathing. It was one of the most powerless moments I ever had. And I carried that on even now with what I do with final expense, with everything I do, because I learned something that I'm never going to forget. There's a real difference between a family that is prepared and a family that isn't. And there was a time in my own life when life changed in a moment too. Unexpected. I love those unexpected moments. I think a lot of you guys do know my story where my husband and I had renewed our wedding vows. I'm sure you probably see the picture behind me. And we got a blessing in our church. And it was the most beautiful fairy tale wedding I ever wanted in my life. And the following day, I got hit from behind by a delivery truck driver who was looking at his cell phone to see where his next stop was. I was rushed to the trauma unit here in Ohio, and I spent 3 days in a trauma unit. My goals was because my kids were out of the house, I was going to go do travel nursing because I love to travel. My plans were not aligned with God's plans, obviously, because I lost half the feeling in my body. So I couldn't work as a nurse anymore at all, much less travel nursing. So that was my original plans. And it's in those moments, though, guys, that I realized just how fragile life can feel when there isn't a defined plan in place, and even when there is. But it definitely helps a lot more when there is. So when I started working for Alex at Abuyuan Financial, of course, I was so hyper focused on learning this business because I knew nothing about this business. Don't you know who I am as a nurse? I'm telling the doctors what's wrong with you after 18 years. And now I'm going to be this multimillionaire's assistant who knew nothing about this business at all. And so many people were asking me questions and I knew none of the answers to. So it was very good for me because it allowed me to have major ego deflation and allowed me to really humble myself as well. But I also learned very quickly because I didn't like not knowing. My pride was not going to allow me to do that. And I was very hyper focused on learning this business, not just to help Alex out, but you guys at the team level as well. I was introduced to the 8 steps very young and early on in the process because Alex has like over 800 YouTube videos out there. And even before I even started working for him, I started checking out the videos just to make sure who was I getting involved with. And he was teaching them on many of his videos. And I honestly thought that was all about success. So I was like, you know what? I'm not really doing the success thing. I'm just going to be doing admin stuff. But what I've learned, it's really not a matter of me being successful. It's about becoming the kind of person people can trust, especially in the moments that matter most. I know I've told everybody here many times, you guys can call me day or night. As long as I'm not asleep or at church, you're going to find me, text me or whatever. And I do that same thing with my clients as well. Step one of the 8 steps to success is personal use. I remember a family who thought everything was taken care of. But when we looked closer at their policy, there was so many gaps. She'd been paying into this policy for years. And I was like, okay, let's take a look and see what you actually have. And what she had was a dental plan with LASIX. But because it was a certain something life insurance company, I don't want to sit there and have Alex have to edit the video. She thought she was paying into life insurance because that's what the agent had told her. So had I not reviewed her policy, she would have never had any insurance. But how the personal use comes into play is I can't sell something if I don't have it myself. I remember first couple of times I visited families in their homes, I'd have people say, "Do you have a policy?" I'm like, "Actually, I sure do. It's right here." And I was able to show them my policy because I did have a life insurance policy. I had one for my husband and for myself, even before I even worked for Alex. And because I believed in the product, because I'd seen what it was like for my father who had life insurance, and it was so much easier when he died. And I also saw what it was like for my brother who died at age 51 from his fifth heart attack, and he didn't have life insurance, and how he left his wife in dire straits where there was not even a penny in the savings account. So the point is, personal use is very important. I cannot sell something if I don't believe in it, I don't have it myself. And the customers will read right through you in a heartbeat if they realize that you don't have it. That's really important because, again, once the client knows that you have it too, they're like, okay, it's when it's really personal to me or to you, it becomes real to them as well. And that then there's obviously these people believe in their products, so that allows you to have credibility, and that's really important. Second step success. I got to remember all of these. I don't have these all memorized, I don't think. Work is the next one, though. So I know Andy talks about putting forth effort, staying focused and motivated in attaining my goals. So again, I remember sharing again about my stories with the hospice. I have so many of them, but I sat with a family not too long ago, actually, who was a life insurance client, and they had nothing in place. But in the middle of their grief, they realized that they were trying to figure out how they were going to pay for everything. And they realized that even though they didn't have coverage for that person who died, because they asked me, can you write a policy on someone who's already died, dead? I was like, no, I'm sorry, we can't write a policy on a dead person. We can only write policy for the living people to protect those that are living after you died. So unfortunately, I could not help them with that policy. But I promise you, before I left that house that night, every single person in that house had a policy, even if it was a small one, because they realized how much struggle and how much struggling they were having to experience because they didn't have something in place. And it would broke my heart because I couldn't help them with a policy for a dead person, but I could help them for the living. And the nice thing was they had so much peace that night. And I said, thank you so much. I've been meaning to take care of this for years and I never did. But so did my mom. And look what happened with mom. She died before we had something in place. Because mom kept saying that she was getting something in place. So the kids didn't think to check to see if mom actually did, and mom didn't have anything in place. Again, it's important for us to do the work because it's not just a matter of doing the work like that, but there's sometimes I don't feel like dialing the phone. Who likes dialing the phone? Nobody does. That's why we're all doing live transfers now. But when I don't feel like dialing the phone, or I don't feel like doing live transfers to have people watching me, believe me, it's not fun. It's uncomfortable still. It makes me nervous still. But I know it's what God wants me to do. But the point is, I always, without a doubt, and Alex will confirm this, is that I will actually write a little prayer, say a little prayer, and then I will tell Alex I'm going live or I'm going to start dialing. So I actually am making sure that I dial. And what I do is, even when I started just doing the regular dialing, that Alex would have me sitting there inviting you guys to watch me dialing leads when I was booking the 20, 24 appointments on the weekends. I would invite you guys, not because Alex told me to at that point, but I knew that I didn't want to do it. But I knew that what I did love to do the most was help you guys out. So I knew that if I could invite you guys to watch me dial, one, it would make me be on my A game because I wanted to make sure that I was teaching you guys properly and well. And two, it was allowing me to help so many families out. And three, it was allowing me to know that I was still being a woman of my word and saying I was going to do my best to help these families out. And you know how many times I met people and they said, oh, thank goodness you came. I was just thinking about how I was going to do this. And it's just those moments that when you're in either people's homes or on the phone with them and they're sharing their heart, you know that you're doing the right thing and you're at the right place at the right time. And that's what it's about, guys. And you know it. That's why you're here. But if I had stopped one day or 1 minute later because I decided, nah, I don't want to do this today. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I'll keep procrastinating. Alex, I'm sorry. Darn it, that Scott Mills called me and I had to spend an extra hour with him. I'll blame it on him that I couldn't do the live transfers today or the phone calls today because this, any excuse will do. But I'm not willing to make excuses and I'm not willing to come up with reasons why I'm not going to do something. And I've had times where I've reached out to Alex and said, you know what, Alex, I really don't want to do this. I need motivation. And sometimes it's like he goes, you know what? There's someone waiting for your phone call. That's all I need to hear. I need to find out one person who's waiting for my phone call. Even if I have 10 no's, there's one person who's going to say yes to me. So I'm willing to do the work. Number 3 is listen. I have to remember these. So listen. So that's incorporating your whole body, mind, spirit, eyes, ears, mind. So when you're talking to a client, even if you're only on the phone, I need to make sure that I'm completely connected with what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's what I needed to know is, okay, sometimes I'll hear a dog in the background or I'll hear a little kid in the background. And it's those little tiny things that you can hear in the background because I'm using all of my senses of hearing and everything I could possibly have because I can't see them. If you're on a Zoom call, of course, you have some sight that you can see. But the point is that you have to really be completely in tune with what they're saying instead of worrying about what you're going to say next, because then you miss out on everything they've said. And just recently, I had a client who had a special needs kid in the background. And I heard something. I was like, oh, is that some puppies or animals, or is that some children or grandbabies? Oh, that's my son. And when I heard him scream a little bit more, I was like, oh, he's one of my kids. So I said, oh, you have one of them too. She was, what do you mean? I said, does your son have autism? He does. I said, so does mine. But again, because I was listening to hearing what was going in the background, not just what she was saying, allowed me to make some of those connections. Again, sometimes though, you're going to also hear clients say, I just want something cheap. I just want to have enough to bury me. Actually, the last one was something that happened, I think it was this past weekend. Someone said, I want the toe tag price. I said, sir, I can honestly tell you that I've never ever quoted a toe tag price, but I guess you're going to be my first. And he wanted a gold toe tag, by the way, by the time we were done with it. So he wanted like the cheapest policy, but he ended up going with the more expensive policy. But the thing is, you have to read through that tough interior to find out really what they're trying to say. So when I slowed down, I really asked, so what do you mean? Can you, what does that mean to you? What does that look like for you when you say toe tag price? He said, I just don't want my kids to have to sit there and have to max out their credit cards or anything like that. I want them to be able to take care of things. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So you obviously love your kids a lot. How many kids do you have? Again, that's allowing us to let that guard down and then they start talking to me. And again, I sold the gold toe tag price to him for that one, which was really special product because I can't say I've ever had to quote in quite that terms. You also need to meet them where they're at and be willing to go there. And I'm grateful that I was willing to go there with him because obviously he was able to sleep that night and not have to worry about the policy anymore. And again, that changed everything. So if you and I listen deeply enough, people will tell you what really matters to them and what really and who really matters to them. And this project is about love. And if you can find out who they really love and what their biggest fears are, you'll find that you're going to make more connections with people and be able to help them a lot more. The 4th step to success is read. I know we all know this book, 8 Steps to Success. This is probably my second copy of this because my first one fell apart because I read it so much. But again, 15, 20 minutes. Who doesn't have 15 to 20 minutes in a day? Everyone's, oh no, I'm really busy. You don't know my life. Okay, you know what my schedule looks like, a lot of you guys. If I can spend 15 to 20 minutes to enrich my mind, to learn something a little bit more or a little bit new, I can make time. If I want it bad enough, if I really want to change, if I really want to do better with my career with sales, if I want to do better with my life in general, I need to make the time because it means that much to me. And when it matters enough to people, they do it. So, and I saw many times families who thought they were covered again, but didn't understand what they had. Do a policy review, guys. I told you about that at the beginning. You'd be surprised. They don't even realize what they have. But if we don't know what we have because we haven't learned, because we're not willing to commit to learning more, then we're missing the mark there. We've never arrived. We're never going to be number one salesperson that knows everything. And really, the more you grow, the more people will actually be able to trust you and the more people you'll be able to actually truly protect. As I started with admin, I learned recruiting. I went into final expense. I went into final expense. I went into retirement planning. I went into retirement planning, and now I'm actually going to be growing into estate planning, which will be my next door I'll be opening that I'm already walking through. But the point is that once I learn something and master it, I know that there's more people God wants me to help, and there's more people that I know I can help, and they're waiting for me, and they're waiting for you. Don't leave them at the door. The fifth step, attend all meetings. Congratulations, you got here. Alex would be proud of you. I'm proud of you because that's what it's about. And honestly, I've never missed any conference since I started working for Alex. That's what now, 3 years? There's not one conference I've ever missed, ever. And I'm grateful because even when I first started, and I was like, what is this going to have to do with me? I'm just admin or whatever. I'll just go because I want a vacation kind of thing. But then I realized every single time I went to a meeting, I heard something, I learned something, and it stayed with me. And some of the stuff I learned at my very first meeting, which was down in it was Denver, Colorado, I think it was. Honestly, that was my first one I went to. And I'll be honest with you, I still remember some of those skits and different things that they did. And I think I've actually been teaching you guys some of them already, where we talked about the one where I think it was Marcus Richardson that did it with, he was doing a role play with it as if he was doing it with a family, where we said, what happens if at 5 o'clock your husband's not home? What happens at 6 o'clock? What happens at 7 o'clock? What happens at 8 o'clock? I remembered that because it was such a vivid experience that I learned at that conference way before I even thought about selling that stayed with me. And I'm still using that today. Next conference I go to, I decide I do want to recruit for Alex. The next time after that, I was like, you know what? I do want to try to sell. The next time I go to a meeting like this and I hear Rochelle Abuji talking about how she never has a problem getting a social security number. To this day, I've never had a problem getting a social security number because I do what she said to do. She used to make over $100,000. I studied what she did before I even started selling because I was the one who was interviewing her a lot of times. So she was talking with us, but I learned it because I was coming to meetings. I go say, you know what? I'm just Alex's admin. I can just do 9 to 5 and I don't have to do any of this stuff. But I didn't. I want to learn more about the business so I could help you guys more and learn more for myself as well. So the thing is, you'll hear that one little thing that you're like, yeah, I'm going to try that, see if it works. And then you'll find that you'll be tickled pink because it works. And that's so important. And not just attending meetings, but again, when you're constantly growing and learning, it's so important because again, it helped me guide a client through a tough decision. And all they could say was, thank you so much for not giving up on me. You never know which meeting will prepare you for the next life you're going to impact. That's pretty powerful. I don't know if I can remember saying that again, but seriously, you'll never know which meeting will prepare you, what you're going to hear at that next meeting that's going to impact that next life you're supposed to be helping. Number 6 is teachable. I will change when I want to change. I'm going to change when I want to change. I'm not going to change before that. That's right. And that's why I love all you guys that have been on these leaderboards and everything, because you guys are teachable. You're coachable. You guys are going on Alex's meetings to book on his calendar. You're booking with me. You're booking with Joy. You're booking with everybody. You're coming to Thursday nights when we do our coaching and role playing. You're coming now on Fridays for those who are doing live transfers. It's mandatory. You have to come to these meetings. But the thing is, those that are coming are the teachable ones. In all reality, I don't think there's been many weeks I've not scheduled a coaching call with Alex, even before I even started selling, because I knew he had so much in that brain of his and he was so successful. I wanted to learn from him and I wanted to be a sponge to learn everything I could possibly learn from him because I didn't know where, when, and how it was going to help me, but I knew that I needed to learn it and he was going to be the one to teach me. And it doesn't mean it's easy, guys, and you know it. But it has never been more rewarding either when I have that next family that calls me and says, thank you, mom died, and thank you that I had a policy in place. And you better believe I'm showing up at that funeral. I'm grateful that I don't get a lot of those calls because they're all still staying alive, but there's times I do get those phone calls. And that's when you know you really were making a difference in someone's life. But what it comes down to is when I was willing to trust the system, and Alex would say, schedule an appointment every hour. He was scared to death to do that. When he says, talk about the 8 steps to success, I'm scared to death. Okay. But the point is that I know he sees something in me that I don't see in me yet completely. But he also sees the ability for me to help so many more people out. And this is helping me grow to be a better person, to be able to talk to people, teach people. And also, the more I teach it, the more I learn it and know it myself. The best way to know something is to teach it, guys. It's helped me tremendously. It's not the first time I've learned something and taught it very quickly. I've learned this for years, but as far as when we did that, what was it? The NLP training that, for sales teaching and everything. And we had to sit there and record ourselves and send it to Alex and everything. I got that done in over a week. And he's like, great, I need you to teach it on Thursday. I'm like, okay. But you know what? I was up for that challenge because I knew that I learned it and I just needed to learn it to practice it. It's not one thing just to learn it, but then you need to be willing to do it and be willing to make mistakes and don't be afraid of making mistakes. Believe me, Alex has got that video out there of what is it? Rookie agent on her first so many weeks of sales, her rookie confessions, because I made a lot of mistakes. And I share all my mistakes openly with you guys, not because I'm beating myself up, but because I know that's usually the hardest thing for people to even get started with something new is because they're afraid they're going to make a mistake. I'm not afraid of making mistakes. I don't like making mistakes. In fact, I hate it actually. But you know what? Even today, it wasn't today, but I guess last week I was on a live transfer call and I lost that sale. And I said, Alex, I lost it. He said, what happened? I was willing to humble myself to say, hey, Alex, yeah, I'm doing really cool on the leaderboard, but I lost the sale. And it's not like I'm going to get every sale, but I knew that there was something I did wrong in that, and I wasn't sure exactly what it was. But after talking with her, talking with him, and getting some coaching from him, I realized, that's what I did, or what I didn't do, really. And that's why I'm thrilled that you guys are coming to these different meetings when I realized, oh my gosh, you guys need a script to work with for the live transfers that's going to work for you. And now you guys have that script as a golden script that will work for you if you use it and don't try customizing it to yourself. It will work. I believe that wholeheartedly. So yeah, and I think that's the important thing is, again, when you trust the process, people trust the decision. When I trust the process, when I trust Alex to know that he's never going to tell me to do something that's going to hurt me or a family member or the team, of course I want to say yes. Doesn't mean I'm not scared, but I know that he's going to be beside me every step of the way. Just like I knew that first week I went out there completely blind, not knowing what I was doing selling, my first weekend out selling. I blew up Joy's phone and Alex's phone, and I've told you guys this many times, and I would call both of them in the same house. I was too prideful to call them both in the same house more than once. So that's why I called Alex. I always called Joy first because she was the softie. But if I already called her, I was too embarrassed to call her a second time, so I'd call Alex. And very rarely, if I had to call a third time, it would be Joy again. But because I was too prideful to call one person, which was okay. But the point was, I knew, and I probably definitely looked like a rookie that first weekend out there when I did those 4 sales. But I cared more about the people I was helping than my ego. And that was important for me to realize was that I was teachable enough because I knew that the people I was being blessed to help, I wanted to make sure I was doing right by them. Just like I have an annuity company or customer I'm going to be taking care of shortly. And it was a little bit newer concept that I wasn't really sure about if it would be better for us to overfund an IUL or to put it into annuity. So I'm willing to consult with people who know more than me. And I'm grateful I don't know everything because I know there's so many other people who know other things that I don't know. And that's what makes our team very strong and powerful is that we can always ask for help. And if we can't help you, we will point you to the direction of someone who can. And Alex is an amazing guy who knows about everything and also knows how to point us to somebody who can guide us through it as well. So be willing to be teachable. How many of you guys are on Alex's calendar every week for coaching? How many of you guys are on my calendar for coaching each week? How many are on Joy's calendar each week for coaching? Yeah. And I'm not saying this to convict anybody. I'm convicting myself too, is that it's important for me to realize that no matter how many sales I do in a week or how many families I've served, we are all blessed with Alex, guys. Okay. He is an amazing coach and mentor who can teach us so much more, but he's not going to beg us to be on his calendar. Just like Joy and I are not going to sit there and call you guys and say, hey, you guys haven't been on coaching calls for a while with us, but we're here for you. You need to be responsible enough to want to change. And again, you'll change when you want to change. But for me, I want to change because I want to be the best version of myself I can be. And that continues to grow every single day. I get better and better because I'm going to learn something new every day. Even when I'm doing live transfers, I promise you, I have something I'm learning in front of me. Alex had sent an ebook out a while ago with advanced NLP skills. I redid that this past weekend because I had a little bit of downtime in between each of my live transfers. I'm going to make sure that I maximize every time that I'm supposed to be selling into either selling and helping a family or learning something while I'm waiting for that next customer to come to me. So that's pretty powerful there. I'm grateful for that. Step number 7, be accountable. Again, that kind of goes along with coaching with Alex and our team. And I don't mean that, but also Andy talks about this in the book. Do what you say you're going to do. Be who you say you are. Be who you want to be. So when you've seen families struggle, accountability hits differently. There was a client who said they needed to think about it. How many of us have had that? It would have been very easy, and I'm sure we all have done this, to just move on and say, okay, thank you. When would you like me to call you back? Or even worse, when they say, I need to think about it, but I'll give you a call back in a week. Okay, thank you very much. Have a nice day. But you know what? Instead of that, I stayed accountable and I learned from all these other things I've done. So each step built on the next one, really. And I said, okay, first off, I don't get that think about it phrase hardly ever because I now learned what we know about how to get past that think about it phrase before you even get to that. But the point is sometimes they do still say, I need to talk to my wife or something like that. And I'll say, okay. Especially like when I was doing retirement planning, that was probably the best, probably the last time I'd gotten to think about a comment. And what it came down to was, okay, I'm just curious, like when you signed up for your pension, did you have your husband there to help you choose which plan you were going to choose for your pension? No. Okay. I'm just asking because this is just basically an adjunct to your retirement plan is that getting a 403B because there was a 403 customer. So you can get a 403B in place. So it's going to also be taken out of your paycheck and stuff like that. And she was, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. She was, yeah, my husband's got one too, but he's got the 401k because he's in a regular job. So yeah, so obviously your husband believes in those kind of products too, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let us get signed up for it. Again, I could have sat there and just said, okay, yeah, go ahead and talk to your husband about it. But I was willing to ask more questions. And the reason why I know how to ask more questions is because one, I come to these meetings and I learn from Alex. Two, I read books. Three, just go through the whole steps. All of them help me prepare to be able to help and be able to really serve our clients so much easier and so much more in depth and more in detail to really be able to precisely help them with what they need. And sometimes I know now I'm following up with all my clients from my old final expense days and really starting to touch base with them. And sometimes I'm writing policies because first I didn't have the ability or didn't know how important it was to follow up on my policies. So if I got a lapse policy, which I didn't get many, but the few I did, I called them. And the one was like, I'm so glad you called me back because I couldn't find your number and I want to get this policy back in place. Again, be accountable, but follow up. Okay. If I said I'm going to be an agent, then I'm going to be an agent, not just when I want to be, but all the time. And if I promise these families I'm going to be there for them, then I need to be there for them. If I say I'm going to call these ERSs and these family members to let them know that they're going to be beneficiaries, I'm going to darn well better do that. And if I don't think I have the ability to be that accountable and I don't think I'm that coachable yet, then I'm going to sit there and tell Alex, I'm going to make sure I call these people and I'm going to let you know how it goes. Not because he needs to know, but because I need that accountability because I'm not disciplined yet maybe enough to do that myself. And that's what it comes down to is I'm willing to humble myself and say, I'm not perfect, nowhere near. And nor I'm not this poster child of perfect sales either. But what I am is one that is willing to be humbled enough to ask for help, willing to make mistakes, but willing to go above and beyond to make sure that I don't get off that phone with that client until they have a policy in place, if at all possible. And it does require me to be bold and ask questions, not rude or anything of the sort, because I'm sure you guys have heard me with calls before. But the most important thing is it's important that we follow up because following up on our clients is not bothering them. It's serving them. Let me say that again because I need to remember that as well. Following up on my clients is not bothering them. It's serving them, not just them, but the people that they love. So if they have a policy and I haven't asked them if their family members have policies too, I'm dropping the ball. So that's why we have those beneficiaries that we're calling now, the contingent beneficiaries, not just because we can get referrals and write sales. Yeah, that's cool. But you know what? If we look at a bigger picture, I love making money, don't get me wrong. But what I love to do more is know that I made a difference in every single person's life. And if I'm dropping the ball, God forgive me, I'm going to call all these people that I didn't call way back when I should have and make sure that they're still taken care of. Do they need a policy review? Do they need to increase their coverage? Did their policy lapse and I just didn't call them either because I didn't think to call them, didn't know that the policy's lapsed? Whatever excuse, it doesn't matter. I didn't do it. I'm going to make sure that it's all done now. And I'm grateful for that because you know what? I'd rather them know that I still care. And I wasn't one of those agents like everybody else out there in this world outside of our company. I'm just going to write a policy and disappear. And when they need us the most, we're not there. That's not me. That's not who I am. That's not who I've changed to be. And I'm grateful today that I can say that I'm not that person. I'm a woman of my word, and I truly do follow up on what I say I'm going to do. And I'm grateful for that. Step number 8, having a positive and mental attitude. I'm so proud of myself. I actually remembered all these 8 steps to success. I was a little bit nervous about that because I didn't want to take notes because I wanted to have it come from my heart. Positive mental attitude. Just recently, before I go into that, I know I walked into rooms filled with fear as a hospice nurse again. And I knew I couldn't bring more fear into people's homes or into their lives. I was there to cause them or try to help them be at peace with what was going on in their world. And it's so easy for people to shut down when they're hurting. And again, life insurance is a gift of love. When people fill out those leads, it's not because they're just happy and they decide they just want to call Scott or Scott calls Joy or call somebody today to get life insurance. Something's happened. And something happened that caused them to be fearful, if not in panic, and say, I better get something in place because I don't want that to happen to me. Or something's happening to them and they know, you know what, if I go to the doctors, I'm going to get diagnosed with something and I'm not going to be able to get insurance. So I want to make sure before I go to the doctors, I'm going to get a policy in place because I don't want that, fill in the blanks, whatever that might be, to happen to me or my family. So again, it's important, more than important, and you guys know this, I'm preaching to the choir, right? That it's important, beyond important, that we are there to serve them. But having that positive mental attitude is, I said to Alex this weekend, I said, I am blessed and highly favored. Did I feel blessed and highly favored? No, I was tired. I was sore, aches and pains, blah, blah, blah. You name it. I got that going on. But the point was, I wanted to keep a positive attitude. So I was meeting one of my referral ladies from the tea guy and the tea lady. And I met her at Starbucks. And I was like, Starbucks, man, it's so noisy. I'm not going to be able to take it here. So we went to another place. So we went to Panera. And I sat down with her and I said to Alex, I'm trying to think what would be good for her. She's 57 years old. So I'm not sure what's going to be the best product for her. So it ended up that she ended up being a vegetarian, healthier than healthy, but she was also a minister. And she was just so sweet. And I was like, she's one of my people. I can do this, right? I'm supposed to be here. Obviously, I knew that's where I needed to be. And before you know it, I wrote a policy on her. I wrote a policy on her son. I talked to her about making sure that her son who was special needs was not the beneficiary because he could lose benefits because he's dependent on the government for some of their funding. And I shared my own heart story about my special needs son, who I had to get an estate plan in place to protect him from becoming homeless if my life insurance policy was going to be dumped into his account because he can't show more than $3,000 in the account. And when I shared that, I wasn't trying to sell an estate plan necessarily. I was just trying to make sure that I was protecting her son from having any problems. But because I had a sincere intention in doing so, she goes, yeah, I need to get something in place. She goes, did you go to a lawyer for that? I said, no, actually, I'm certified and I have a company that we work with that we do that. She goes, you guys do everything. That's what he said. We don't do everything, but we sure do serve the families as best as possible. And before you know it, she then sent me her boyfriend who has an old pension from a company that had closed down, he contributed to it for 20 years. and he wants to get a policy in place. And then I get off the phone with him. And then she has her brother-in-law call me, who's got two old 401ks. He wants a policy put into an annuity. And this was like back to back, like not even a minute between each of these phone calls coming through. And because I had that positive, I'm blessed and highly favored, all of these blessings are coming. And there's even a bigger blessing is that she actually wants me to represent and actually go to her church and be the retirement specialist there and educate them on why it's important to have policies in place, estate plans in place. And also they're an African community that really we're talking about legacy planning and generational wealth. So I'm going to be talking about Abuyuans and different products like that. But if I stayed home because I didn't want to have, I wanted to do this, I didn't want to do that, blah, 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 excuse, reason, I would have never been blessed with all of that that came from just because I was willing to stay positive and meet this person in person. Again, you never know where it's going to come from or where it's going to lead to. Just be positive. Know that you're just being a blessing to every person you come in contact to. And I really do believe that in my heart of hearts that I'd rather know that they're better off knowing me, not because I'm anything special, but because I made them feel special. When they know that they're feeling loved, appreciated, not taken advantage of, and that they're in charge, you'll be surprised. Not only will they bring you their business, but they'll bring referrals. And on top of that, more importantly, we've brought them peace of mind. And it's pretty awesome. So again, I've seen both sides, guys. I've seen families overwhelmed. I've also seen families at peace. And I've made the decision that I could help if I could even help one more family experience that peace instead of panic or fear or loss without having something in place, then I'll darn well do it. If I have a breath in my body, no matter how many aches and pains or illnesses I might have, I'm going to make sure I'm there for that next person that God puts in front of me. So again, there's 8 steps. They're not just a book to read that you want to just dust off on your shelf. They're not there just to grow your business. But if you let them, they will grow you, because they definitely have grown me tremendously, and they're not even done. Okay? Because what we do isn't just selling insurance. I'm going to get emotional. It's making sure that when life changes in a moment, a family doesn't have to carry financial stress on top of emotional pain. So I've sat with families on their hardest day. But I've also seen the difference preparation makes. So again, don't just follow the 8 steps for success. Follow them for the people God has in front of you to help. And you'll find that you'll be overly blessed as well. All right. I wasn't anticipating getting emotional, guys. Sorry about that. But in all reality, that's what it's about. It's about us being willing to be vulnerable, help share our stories with families, get out of our own little self-induced cage so we can help them get their wall of resistance down so that they'll trust us and they'll know that we're truly a trusted servant for them, that we're not just out to get their money. So you guys rock. I'm proud of myself. Actually, I got done at 9:30. Alex, whatever you do not go past I think I actually talked a little bit past the 30 minutes, but that was close enough. But the point is, guys, we all have it in us that we can do this. And Alex believes in you. I believe in you. Joy believes in you. Again, I can't stress it enough. This is a really thin book. I don't like reading a lot of pages either, but 15 minutes. If you don't have this book, I know Alex said that he'd ship it to you guys. Send your information to him. He'll ship it to you. It'll be the best investment in your life, honestly, and it's your time investment. Because not only will it help you grow your business, but more importantly, it'll help you grow you. And that's when it's most important, because the more we grow, the more we realize that our bank accounts grow as well. Love you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys soon. If you guys need anything, you know how to reach me and Joy. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon.